Happy Friday night in Athens. It's finally starting to feel like fall here in Bogart, Georgia. We're here at Titan Stadium, home of the 3-0 undefeated North Oconee Titans, who will face the Jefferson High School Dragons. I'm your host, Alana Jacob, here with football analysts Jack Keys and Ion Bakley. Guys, both of these teams are starting off well, starting off strong. They're coming off of wins from last week. Jefferson won 45-28 against Stevens County, moving them to a 3-1 record. And Jack, we have to talk about North Oconee's game against Clark Central, 36-13 victory. And we got to talk about Landon Roldan, the star.
The absolute star. Stole the show last weekend here at North Oconee against Clark Central. 8 receptions for 196 yards, 5 total touchdowns. Just putting on an absolute clinic, and it stems from his blazing speed. As a high school athlete, he clocked a 4.37 40-yard dash at UGA football camp over the summer. Obviously, he's heading there next fall to play for Kirby Smart's program, but he's not just a wide receiver, Ion. He can make big plays all over the field.
Absolutely. Through the air, on the ground, offense or defense, it does not matter. And I might have a little bit of a crazy comparison, but doesn't it remind you a lot of Travis Hunter doing it on both sides of the ball? I mean, Region Athlete of the Year last year. What more can you expect from Roldan?
That might be a little bit of a crazy take, but I want to talk about Jefferson because they started off slow on both sides of the ball last week against Stevens County. They had a scoreless first quarter and allowed 7 points for the Gladiators. They finally picked things up in the second quarter and found some momentum in running back Michael Pickman, who scored the first rushing touchdown for the Dragons. And then from there, the run game took off.
Yeah, they have a three-headed monster back there in Russell, Pittman, and Hemphill. But also, their quarterback is a dual threat as well. He can do it with his legs as well. But talking to his coach this past week, he mentioned that there would be no more designed quarterback runs. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Jefferson attacks this game against North Oconee. And also, North Oconee has a great and very strong front seven.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That versatile Jefferson rushing attack versus that strong defensive front for North Oconee. This season, through 3 games, the North Oconee defense is averaging 7.6 points allowed, just over a touchdown. They haven't even allowed a touchdown in the first half yet this season. That's how good they've been, and it stems from the front seven, the defensive front, coached by defensive line coach, UJ legend David Pollock. You got guys like Jake Elliott, Kamari Brooks, busting through last weekend, making a big impact in the backfield. And when I talked to Coach Orant before last week's game, he mentioned the improvement of the defensive line, something he's been really pleased with. And if I'm Jefferson, maybe I'm looking out to the perimeter. Some mismatches there. If I'm quarterback Gavin Markey trying to exploit those cornerbacks, the same cornerbacks that Hezekiah Mylender got some big chunk plays against last week. But for me, the big matchup tonight, the rushing attack of Jefferson versus the front seven of North Oconee.
Jack, we'll see how these two teams play tonight. Kickoff is at 7:30. We'll also hear from our sideline reporters, Anna Escamilla and Will Hopkins. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, guys. Now let's hear from our sideline reporters, Anna Escamilla and Will Hopkins.
Thanks, Alana. The North Oconee Titans have allowed the fewest points this season in Region 8 of the GHSA, with only 23 points in the past 3 games and a complete shutout against Dalton High School. North Oconee head coach Tyler Arndt emphasized that it was important for the team to play fundamentally sound defense tonight and ensure that everyone who took the field felt comfortable and confident in their role. Last year, the Titans lost several defenders to graduation, but Coach Arndt wasn't worried and emphasized that several guys have been able to fill in the gap. Let's see what this North Oconee defense has to say to the Jefferson offense. Now to our sideline reporter, Will Hopkins, on the Jefferson side.
Thanks, Anna. Jefferson head coach Travis Nolan was really minimizing the attention on himself and his team ahead of this matchup against North Oconee. Back in his time at Oconee County, he was 4-1 against Coach Arndt-led North Oconee teams, but doesn't really see a big correlation between that and now that he's facing him at Jefferson. Talking about his team, he sees them as a collection of solid players, but doesn't see the same star power as he does on the other side at North Oconee, or at least that's what he told us. He said the storylines are all on the other side of this game. It's clear that Coach is really downplaying the talent on his 3-1 team, but I think he knows in the back of his mind what they're capable of. We'll see if they can get it done and hand North Oconee their first loss of the season.
Thanks, guys. Jack, let's hear more about that North Oconee defense and their offense.
Well, they've been spectacular in stopping the run this season. The first touchdown on the ground that they let up was in the second half in garbage time against Clark Central last week. They really got to Corey Watkins Jr., really limited him, as well as Caden Wood in week 1, a couple of top running backs in Northeast Georgia. They've got a trio of backs that are very talented they have to deal with tonight. It'll be an interesting challenge for David Pollock in that defensive line.
And Ion, I'm going to have to disagree with head coach Travis Nolan that there are no stars and no storylines on that Jefferson team. Tell us about some of those key players.
Yeah, his quarterback has 3 D1 offers. He's got offers from Murray State, UT Martin, and Virginia Military Institute as well. He also recently got a commit from his senior defensive end, Keelan Butler, who recently committed to Georgia State on September 1st. He had 18 total offers, including Georgia Tech and Arkansas. And also, let's talk about Sammy Brown's replacement, Red Hemphill. He's been creating a lot of buzz recently around the circuit, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this game plays out.
Lots of talent for both of these teams on both sides of the ball, and I want to hear you guys' predictions after this break. Welcome back, guys. Now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of this North Oconee versus Jefferson game. Ion, give me your predictions.
Tonight, I'm going to take North Oconee 24-14, and my X factor for this game has to be Jefferson's defense. They got a big challenge ahead of itself tonight in containing Roldan. Going to expect a lot of double coverage, but also that secondary has to get its act together. Got to get a lot of pressure on Faulkner. We saw him the few times that Clark Central got pressure under Faulkner. He threw that pick to that linebacker Isaiah Jones. So it's going to be really interesting to see Keelan Butler and how he can attack that North Oconee offense. We also saw Nate Hires go down last week, so that's going to be a really interesting matchup to see right there.
Yep.
100%. And Jack, when we talk about X Factor and North Oconee, we got to talk about Landon Roldan. Is that right?
Landon Roldan is obviously a huge X factor, but for tonight's game, the X factor that I'm highlighting is his quarterback, the guy who's feeding him the balls, Harrison Faulkner. I know you mentioned he was under a little bit of pressure last week, but for the most part, I thought he was pretty composed. 18 of 25, 301 yards, 4 touchdowns, put North Oconee in really good shape last week. He's got a couple of FBS offers, Coastal Carolina, UAB, Central Michigan, amongst many others. I think if we see anything like we saw last week out of Faulkner, the composure there, I think North Oconee's in pretty good shape tonight. So I'm going with the Titans' victory, 31-20 in my opinion, under the lights here in North Oconee. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Those are some really good takes, really good predictions. And we'll see how this game turns out. It's almost game time. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for joining us at the Carmichael Sports Media Institute. I am your host, Alana Jacob, joined here by Jack Keys and Ion Bakley. We'll see you at halftime.
Welcome back to Titan Stadium here where North Oconee leads Jefferson 28-0. I'm your host, Marco Barkowiak, joined by analysts Torrin Smith and Zori Streeter. We're going to send it down now to the sideline here to hear from both coaches on their thoughts on the first half performances from each team.
Thanks, Marco. I'm here with head coach of the Jefferson Dragons, Travis Nolan. Coach, I'm sure this wasn't the first half that you were expecting. What areas are looking to improve going into the second half?
Everything. We're not doing anything well right now. They're playing great. They got a great team, and we got to go regroup and see what we can do.
Despite the score, who surprised you tonight? Who's looking good?
In the white team, not very many at the moment. We got to go get some things adjusted and see if we can come out and be competitive in the second half.
And how do you motivate these guys to finish out?
They got to motivate themselves at this point. There's no magic words to fix what just happened out there.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good night.
Thanks, Alana. Here with North Oconee head coach Tyler Orant. Coach, we're 4 games into this thing now, and your defense is yet to allow a first half touchdown. What impresses you most about your defensive squad?
Yeah, I mean, they just play well together, and we got a good plan right now. We got to be relentless in the second half. This team, what they do is they wear people down in the first half, and then they put all their points on the board in the second half. So we're going to have to play really well the next 24 minutes.
And your quarterback, Harrison Faulkner, making all different kinds of plays right now, spreading the wealth in the passing game and making plays on the ground. How much confidence do you have in your offense with number 1 as your signal caller?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about some of the drives we put together. I did not feel good about how we ended the half. I would have liked to got points on the board right there, but we had some busts out wide, and it kept us out of the end zone, so I'm not very happy about that right now.
And Landon Roldan finally continues to dazzle in the passing game, but also making spectacular plays on defense. 2 straight games with a turnover, a pick 6 tonight. What about him on defense makes him a special player as well?
He's a playmaker. When an opportunity presents himself, he's one of those kids that you can rely on that's going to make a play when the opportunity's there.
All right, thanks, Coach. Back to you, Marco.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the updates. After the break here, we're going to come back. We're going to give you all the key updates, plays, and the full rundown of the first half. Welcome back here. In the first half, guys, North Oconee has looked completely dominant, and we know that everything they do runs through junior quarterback Harrison Faulkner and UGA commit Landon Roldan. What did you guys see in the first half, and what stood out?
Yeah, Marco, like you said, if there was one word to describe how this Titans offense looked in the first half, it would be dominant. Harrison Faulkner, like you said, 7 for 10, 111 yards through the air in the first half. He has been great with the passing game, but he's also been great on the ground for 8 rushes and 60 yards in the first half. Of course, like you said, Roldan, always a big factor for this team. He had a pick-6 on defense, and he's got a rushing touchdown, good for 3 rushes and 40 yards in the first half. He just can't be stopped by this Jefferson defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of that to match, quarterback Gavin Markey is not able to exactly keep up with that. He's 1 for 6, 13 yards, 1 interception, which is the pick-6 you mentioned, and he's been sacked 3 times tonight. So the comparison here is kind of lacking for sure.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, we're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back to give you guys a second half preview. Welcome back, and looking forward to the second half here. What do you guys think is going to need to happen for the Dragons to get back in this one?
I think if Jefferson wants to cut into this 28-point lead that the Titans have right now, they need to get something going from the quarterback position. Only 1 completed pass in the first half from Gavin Markey. He needs to be way better through the air. We just haven't seen that from him tonight. We talked to Coach Nolan this week, and he said that they haven't been running any designed runs with him. We know he's good with his legs, so they need to maybe try something back there to see if they can pick up some extra yards, because nothing's really working against this Titans defensive front right now.
Absolutely, and of course North Oconee's been a force to be reckoned with. Quarterback Harrison Faulkner's just been having a fantastic night and really spreading the wealth across the field. That's been working really well for him, and I think if he's able to keep that up, then the Titans will be able to extend their lead.
Absolutely, guys. It'll be interesting to see if the Dragons can get back into this one or the Titans continue to roll. We're going to take a quick look around the county and see Clark Central, Oconee County, Athens Academy, and Athens Christian so far are either not playing or we don't have updated scores on their games yet. But Cedar Shoals, we do have an update. They are currently losing 41-6 to Morgan County. And that's going to do it here at the desk for us. We'll be back after the end of the game, so come back.
Will Hopkins here with Gunter Schroeder and Anna Escamilla after the North Oconee Titans defeat the Jefferson Dragons by a score of 35-0 here at Titan Stadium. A really dominant performance for North Oconee. What stood out to you in their win?
Yeah, it had to be their defense. Their second shutout in the opening 4 games in particular, limiting Gavin Markey to 6 of 20 passing for 81 yards and an interception is a pretty great way to get a rivalry win. And for Landon Roldan, after scoring 5 times last week against Clark Central, this week he has a pick-6 and a rushing touchdown to really break the game open for North Oconee.
100%. He was dominant just like we saw last week. And then on the flip side, for Jefferson, really not the performance they were looking for. What can you pinpoint that went wrong?
Yeah, well, at halftime, we talked to head coach Nolan on Jefferson, and he mentioned that it was up to the team to motivate themselves in the second half, and unfortunately, Gavin Markey and the team did not get it done.
Yeah, we saw a couple drives that were better, but like we were talking right before we came on air, penalties really bit them right before they had those scoring chances, and they ended up with a goose egg on the scoreboard. And looking at this game coming in, we thought it would be pretty close, but just not the case at all. Do you think that it was maybe a case of once North Oconee jumped out to that lead, Jefferson was just defeated mentally?
Yeah, you really thought that they were kind of be a closer game tonight, and I really think North Oconee took control on that first offensive drive. They came out and they scored immediately, and that really led to a lot of offensive success. We weren't really expecting that against a Jefferson defense led by the likes of Keelan Butler at defensive end and Max Brown at linebacker, but they really dominated from start to finish and scored 28 first half points, really put the game to bed.
And then for Jefferson at halftime, you want something that you can go to and say, hey, look, this worked. But talking to Coach Nolan, there was nothing, and honestly, that's what it seemed like in the first half. How much do you think that really hurt their chances at a comeback?
Yeah, for sure, Will. I think Coach Nolan was a little bit under the weather, feeling that the Jefferson defense would not be able to surpass the North Oconee offense. So it was really unfortunate for Jefferson tonight, but let's see what they can get done next week.
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle on both sides of the ball. We're going to take a quick break and then hear from the winning coach as well as a key player from the winning team when we come back. Welcome back. Marco Barkowiak caught up with Landon Roldan after his 2-touchdown performance, one on offense and one on defense. But first, Torrin Smith caught up with winning coach Tyler Arndt.
Coach, another shutout win, second one of the season. What went well for your defense tonight?
They play really well. They're playing really well together right now. And when you got 11 guys plus some other guys that are coming in different roles that play like that together, you're always going to give yourself a chance. But we challenged them this morning to increase their physical courage for 48 game minutes and play relentless. And I think you saw that all the way up to the end where we could have bent and broke, and our kids just continued to fight and kept them out of the end zone. I'm super proud of the effort from that side of the ball.
Last week we saw Landon Roldan had 5 touchdowns in the game. This week, 4 different guys had offensive touchdowns. Roldan, of course, with the pick 6. Were you trying to spread the ball around a little bit more tonight on offense?
No, I mean, his speed and his threat over the top is going to open up some things underneath. And Harrison did a really good job of just bringing his eyes back down to the underneath throw and getting the ball and distributing it to some other guys. I don't know. I mean, we just played well and we executed well early on offense. Now, we got sloppy there toward the first half, at the end of the first half. We got to clean up. But I thought Harrison did a really good job just from an execution standpoint and finding ways to get guys the ball.
Going back to Roldan, a touchdown on both sides of the ball. What does it mean for your team to have a guy like that playing offense and defense?
When your best players are playing a ton of snaps and they're playing at a high level, it increases the level of play from everybody else around them. So Kamari Brooks, Harrison Faulkner, Maddox Bryce, I mean, there's several more that are playing a lot of snaps on both sides of the ball. And when you got guys that want to do that and play at a high level, everybody else around them has no choice but to elevate their game.
4-0 on the season. What's the message going into next week?
It's 0-0 now. We start region play. And we got to go on the road, and we got to play another quality opponent that likes to run the football. So we can't get comfortable. We can't get complacent. We got to stay hungry. We got to continue to be relentless in our pursuit of where we're trying to go. So it's not going to change much. I mean, we got to continue to get after folks.
Awesome. That's all I have for you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Torrin. We're down here on the field with Landon Roldan. Landon, with you, Kamari, Harrison, with so many weapons in your offense, what's that been like this season?
I mean, it's great having a bunch of guys that can go out and make plays, and we got a really good team this year, so us three leading us with all these plays, and I feel like we can expand to more people, so I think we'll have a lot of playmakers this year.
And Harrison was hitting on all cylinders tonight. How has that connection been building throughout the season, and what are you looking forward to with him going forward?
Ever since freshman year, we've been going out and throwing with each other, so we've always had a connection, and he's just gotten better and better every day, and he's putting in the work, so our connection has just grown a lot.
And then everybody knows about your ability on the offensive side of the ball, but a huge pick 6 tonight to flip, really give you guys all the momentum going forward. What'd you see on that play, and how have you felt your game has grown on the defensive side of the ball?
I knew I was one-on-one with that guy, so it was basically like running a route, so I basically just ran his vertical route, and once I saw the ball in the air, I knew that ball was mine, and once I got past him, I had a whole train wreck of defensive players blocking for me all the way to the end zone, so it's a free ride to the end zone.
Thank you for your time. Back to you, Will.
Some great insight on the player and coach side of things. We'll take a quick break before wrapping things up when we return. Welcome back after a 35-0 win from North Oconee over Jefferson. And Anna, what are some of your final takeaways?
For sure. I think North Oconee came in and did exactly what they wanted to, which was play a fundamentally sound defense, which is something that head coach Arndt emphasized for this team tonight. Looking at Jefferson, they do have a bye week next week, so hopefully it'll be a chance for the team to regroup and come out strong the week after.
Yeah, they'll definitely be thankful for that bye week after a really rough performance, chance to regroup before they start region play against West Hall. What did you see today as kind of your final takeaway from this big win?
Yeah, I think you have to look at Landon Roldan again. It's no secret he's one of the best receivers in the state, and he showed it again really in all sorts of ways. On the run game, in the pass game, and even on defense, had the pick 6 after having a forced fumble last week, and he's really stamped a, sort of seal of approval, I guess, of his, rival as a blue chip prospect maybe for Kirby Smart. And certainly they'll be happy to have him next year. I think he's been one of the best players so far in the state and showed it again tonight.
100%, and coach said he hasn't really been playing defense for that long. He's still learning, and I think these last couple weeks have shown that he is learning quickly, just great instincts, and then we know what he can do on offense. So like we said, a bye week and then West Hall for Jefferson. As for North Oconee, they'll start region play at East Forsyth next week. 35-0, North Oconee takes it over Jefferson. For Anna Escamilla and Gunter Schroeder, I'm Will Hopkins. We'll see you next time.